The third season of Yellowjackets premieres February 14th, and the new trailer shows the survivors of the plane crash have descended even further into their darker natures. One of the biggest theories floating around the fandom since season 1 is the idea that the teenage survivors may split apart into factions. This is driven by the original description of the series, outlined as equal parts survival epic, psychological horror story, and coming-of-age drama. Yellowjackets is the saga of a team of wildly talented high school girls soccer players who become the unlucky survivors of a plane crash deep in the remote northern wilderness. The series chronicles their descent from a complicated but thriving team to savage clans, while also tracking the lives they've attempted to piece back together nearly 25 years later, proving that the past is never really past, and what began out in the wilderness is far from over. So there was always this idea that these survivors would eventually split apart and even descend into warring factions or clans based on differing ideologies or group politics. During season 2, Lottie became a spiritual leader amongst the survivors, many believing that she was the natural leader of their group because of her ability to connect with the wilderness or the god of that place. Mari even challenged Natalie on Lottie's behalf, who believed her role as huntress was superior to Lottie's Wicca BS because she provides the group with food. After the pair made a game of their challenge, which nearly cost Lottie her life, it became more and more clear that Natalie was indeed the leader of their group in the wilderness. Her importance as huntress was unmatched because the group relied upon her for sustenance, and though Lottie's connection with the wilderness was a source of moral and spiritual nourishment, they cannot survive on vibes alone. After Natalie drew the queen card and outmaneuvered her own demise, the wilderness chose who the true leader of the group was. Lottie named Natalie their queen, and each of the survivors bent their knee to her. However, it was clear that not everyone agreed with that decision and may harbor dissatisfaction with the choice. There's been a transition of power between the girls that began long before the plane crash. Jackie was captain of the Yellowjackets soccer team, prom queen, and the person who the whole team looked to for guidance. But once they crashed into the wilderness, Jackie wilted like a flower.
You don't matter anymore.
After Jackie, the group looked to Lottie for guidance as spiritual leader. But Lottie's connection to the wilderness could only take them so far, which made it clear that Natalie was a better choice to lead them, because of her ability to provide them with the most basic requirement for survival: food.
But I can't hear it anymore.
Natalie carries immense guilt over her title as queen because it was bought with a life of Javi, as far as wilderness currency is concerned. She had drawn the queen card, which meant her life was forfeit, but when Javi tried to help her hide from the hunters, he exchanged his own fate with hers. This doesn't sit well with Natalie, and as the moral compass of the group, it seems very likely we will see her struggle with this in season 3. She may even resent the leadership role, which was bought with a blood price she never wished to pay. On the other hand, there are others in the group who have sacrificed so much to the wilderness that they feel they've already paid the price to be called leader. As Lottie named their new queen, Thaisa, Misty, and Shauna all believe that they should be named for their unique individual contributions to the group. Ty's sleepwalking ability led them to the symbol trees and to finding Javi after he'd been missing for months. Misty's medical knowledge and practical skills have gotten them out of many dangerous situations. And Shauna has sacrificed so much, from her best friend Jackie to her stillborn child, while also having a strangely valuable knack for violence in her role as butcher. In the season 3 trailer, there was a brief shot of Shauna telling Natalie she is not in charge anymore. Now, obviously, we're operating with very few details, but considering how season 2 ended with the cabin fire, it seems pretty likely that this has something to do with Coach Ben. Coach appears to be guilty of the crime, and for more on that, check out my video here, because there is the potential that it was not Coach at all who set the fire. But what matters most is that the girls believe that he did. Natalie and Coach have always been closer to each other as friends than to the others in the group, so she may defend him from the crime, which could cost her credibility among the survivors or cause a rift amongst the group. There could be a challenge to Natalie's rule because of this, instigated by Shauna, which is really not surprising, to be perfectly honest. If we look back throughout the series in the adult timeline, there was always tension between Shauna and Nat, going back to their first reunion with one another.
You look like shit.
Well, back at ya.
Shauna and Natalie harbored animosity, which followed them to the end when Shauna drew the Queen card, which led to a hunt that ultimately cost Natalie's life. Was this a window into the past and foreshadowing the contention between these two characters? Lottie's followers had already challenged Natalie, so it doesn't seem likely that she would facilitate a second coup against her, no matter the disagreement. But since that challenge, Shauna has lost her baby, and her psychological state has become increasingly unhinged and unpredictable. After losing their home on top of it, Shauna would have no problem delivering punishment to whoever did the crime. And let's not forget, she doesn't even like soccer. But if Natalie were so determined to protect Coach that it caused a divide amongst the group, would anyone else leave along with Shauna? Looking at the main characters, I think Lottie and Misty would stay loyal to Natalie, and Van would want to stay loyal to Nat as well, and even more so to Lottie. But Ty will probably support Shauna because reasons, and Van would follow Ty because they're together. I also think Melissa would go with Shauna and more of the JV team members, which may be the reason some of the unknown teen survivors have larger roles in season 3 in the characters Teen Britt and Teen Robin. Silvana Estefanos and Anissa Harris, who play these characters, are the only actors who are listed in all 10 episodes of season 3 at this time, so assuming they are part of the 1996 timeline, we'll see a lot more of both of them. The splitting of factions could give us more information on what was going on in the pilot episode with Pit Girl and the Cannibal Council, which showrunners have teased will be explored further in season 3. But those are just my thoughts, so let me know yours in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye!